Okay, welcome back to the United Pubcast, the official podcast of the Man United Supporters Club here in Sydney, New South Wales, Australia. And Larry, I could do more Sundays like that. Man United winning, not only winning, but last second goals in front of the Stretford end, then a day down at the pub, and then back at home to talk Man United again. That is how I prefer my Sundays, rather than what we have been dished up in sort of recent months.
Well, it always starts better when it's with a win, doesn't it, Tom? And it hasn't happened as often as we'd like this season, but positive result, positive performance. I think that's the most pleasing part. When your performances are good, even if the results aren't there, you know that the results will come. Unfortunately, this season, the actual performances haven't been there. So there hasn't even been hope for us to say, when is this going to improve? I'm really pleased to say, I'm going to go as far as to say over a pure 90-minute period, I think that's United's best football this season. I really believe that.
Well, we'll break it down. I think, look, the notion that's already in my mind is control. Ralph Rangnick has said control 1,500 times every single press conference. It's stuck in my mind, and it's how we sort of evaluate every single performance at the moment. Did we have control? Didn't we have control, both in attack and defence? And we'll break all that down because usually I'm the one who's extremely positive, even after a defeat or a loss. I think, no, it probably wasn't as bad as people think. And after this one, buzzing for the win, and a lot of people saying, what a great performance. Now, this is the one time I'm probably on the other side of things saying I was happy with it, but I wasn't overly impressed like others. So it will be interesting to break down. But there are a few guys in the chat already, which is good to see. Josh, evening lads, top day of Man United and UFC. Yeah, the UFC was good, just back from the pub. Fascinating heavyweight title fight. No one saw that coming in that style, no doubt. But George also saying, good evening, guys. Stealing a win today, made up for throwing away the points against Villa. Yeah, well, it's an important point. Forget about the performance. Forget about the style it came in. 3 points is 3 points. We definitely need it. Jamie over from Northern Ireland. Good to see you, mate. Emad, how good he's winning. Adam, yeah, what a Captain Harry Maguire is. We'll definitely be getting into Harry Maguire and his performance and everything around him at the moment because, yeah, I think that is almost not the number one topic for me. And George also saying, hello, lads, felt like a structured team effort rather than individuals doing something. Maguire played well, keeping it simple, and only Con was 16 shots and 2 on target. So thanks for everyone for joining us in the live chat. If you are here, please do leave a like on the video. That would be great. And look, Larry, before we get into the team selection, because Harry Maguire was the only real team selection change, and we'll get into the reasons that he came about getting selected. But on the performance, usually when we get a draw or a loss, I'm on here and saying, look, the performance wasn't actually that bad compared to what a lot of people are saying. And here, everyone is coming out and saying this performance was very good. You said it was our best performance of the season. I'm sure a lot of people are using the term control, and I was happy with it. However, take away the goal, take away the emotion of the goal and how that does change the narrative. I was thinking there and thinking, well, it's not really much urgency. I know sort of Ralph Rangnick did throw caution to the wind in regards to the personnel in substitutions and sort of going for it with all these attacking players. But if that's finished 0-0, would you have been happy with the United their ambition to actually go for it and sort of press home for a winner? Because, as I said, in terms of the stats, I was thinking, we're not really peppering West Ham's goal. And yes, West Ham just sort of did sit deep and make it difficult. But I had a real look. I was happy with the performance and the way United went about things. But ultimately, it had a bit of a Louis van Gaal feel for me. Just sort of petering along. If we could get a goal, that's fantastic. If not, no dramas. I didn't really sense that urgency to go and get that winner.
No, I don't agree, to be honest. I felt United did play well. I thought we kept the ball well. Now, yes, the shots on target is the concern and the down point for me. But in saying that, Tom, I thought United were fairly positive. I think if that game finishes 0-0, you say, look, on another day, I think we could have scored. And that's, look, I think that's where the improvement in this team will now come. We've now got the control aspect down pat. I think we're keeping the ball a lot better. I think defensively, we don't seem to be getting exposed as much either. So you have to say, if you look at the last 3 performances, now you go 2-0 up against Aston Villa. Of course, the draw is obviously a disappointing result at the end. You then have a positive result against Brentford, where the first half was fairly poor, but the second half was much better. And then you look at this game. Now, when you look at, like I said to open the video, when you look at the 3 performances back to back to back, the level of performance over the 90 minutes is improving. So, yes, I'd understand the frustration if it finishes 0-0, but look, we get the win. And when a side sits back, it is difficult to break down. So credit to Rangnick, credit to the players. It's an awesome result for persistence.
My question around us controlling the game, both in attack and defence, I was thinking, again, you can't take away Marcus Rashford's goal, and we'll get into that and the importance and how good it was. You can't take away that. It does change the whole feeling around the camp. However, I felt West Ham had a goal in them. They were getting sort of corners and set pieces, and it wouldn't shock me if West Ham grab a goal here. And I know we actually defended quite well. And you could say, was that in control or were we comfortable in defending? I do think Harry Maguire and Rafael Varane played quite well, fullbacks as well, and David De Gea ultimately really had nothing to do. But it wouldn't have shocked me with 10 minutes ago if West Ham did pop up with a goal. And I'm just thinking then if I have that feeling, were we really in control? Because I always felt we were one mistake away, and I'm not sure, Larry, was that structurally we're one mistake away from conceding a goal, or was that our players aren't good enough, we're one mistake away from conceding a goal?
I think it's a little bit of both, but he went for it. Like, you have to look at the substitutions he makes. Fred comes on for Cavani. You had Anthony Martial come on as well. When you take off a midfielder, like whatever the quality of that midfielder you may think is, it is going to change the way you play. Now, when you put on an attacking player, that's something that you sacrifice as you seek a goal. We've seen it go the other way. We've seen when you go put an attacking player on where you lose the game at the death. It can happen. And I think that's how you have to weigh it up. Ultimately, I think what you're saying is because you're a little bit scarred from the season so far, if I'm being entirely honest. I actually thought United did control the game, but let's show respect to West Ham, Tom. Their midfield is better than Manchester United's midfield. Souček and Declan Rice walk in over Fred and McTominay every day of the week. So there is no doubt that if they then do have some element of control in the game, then that's because they have the better players. In saying that, United were in control for the majority of the 90 minutes. West Ham naturally trying to seek some points. And then I think we get the result, and rightfully deserved, over the entirety of the game.
It's part of the discussion in regards to, look, we're in a January transfer window. We're always having a midfield debate. So I just want to touch just sort of one more minute on West Ham. And when I mean West Ham, I do mean Declan Rice, before we move on to the Man United side of things. This is almost built up, and we discussed it the other day in terms of it was almost a straight shootout between McTominay and Rice. Now, McTominay sat a little bit deeper, and they weren't really involved together, so it wasn't really a shootout. And in regards to where we want to see McTominay play, we want to see Declan Rice come into Man United's midfield in a different role. So I don't think this is a real McTominay versus Rice type thing. However, I just want everyone's raving about Declan Rice, and I think he was fine, but I just want to throw it to you. Let's say Declan Rice, we're playing Levante or Bordeaux or Southampton, and that's number 6, put a performance in like that. Are you saying, well, that is the answer to our midfield? Let's go get him for 100 million? I'd say no. Now, that's not to say Declan Rice shouldn't be our next sign and shouldn't come in for big money, and he wouldn't be great for United. For me, I just didn't see it. I think a good performance, solid enough. Nothing. I take it back to when David Moyes was manager. I remember when we saw Real Sociedad, we saw Antoine Griezmann for the first time. You knew Antoine Griezmann when we saw him for Sociedad. You said, hang on, that's going to be a £100 million player. You saw something special there with Declan Rice. I'm thinking, yeah, solid enough. Yeah, could improve United's midfield. But I didn't see... Yeah, I just don't see that something special. Maybe I'm wrong.
He's not the midfielder I personally would want. I think he is a level above, and I do disagree with you to an extent. I think... Look, ultimately, you have to look at the 11 versus the 11. United do have better players when you're looking at the team sheet. In saying that, their midfield is better, but they're going to be limited. You know, there was a McTominay's foul on Declan Rice late in the second half was actually a really good foul, because if Declan Rice got free there, and Antonio was basically there was a different angle. He had beaten Maguire, so. You know, I thought that was a good foul where McTominay, you can say, gets the points there. But no, I like Declan Rice. Like I said, I think United need a ball-playing midfielder. Now, you could probably get 2 midfielders. Look, not probably. United do need 2 midfielders. Paul Pogba will leave in the summer. I think I prefer, and I'm sure you prefer as well, when you think of a deep-lying playmaker or a number 6, if you like, we want someone who progresses the ball forward, someone who can do the splitting pass in between the lines, like a Michael Carrick. Now, I don't know how many players there are in world football, Tom, that can actually do that anymore, and I think that's the concern. But if you're looking for a destroyer type, think Declan Rice is there. And look, I take the argument around, is he much better than McTominay? Well, he is better than McTominay. And the other thing is he's younger than Scott McTominay. And the other factor to that is if you look at the way Declan Rice is improving season on season, he surpasses McTominay's level of improvement. Now, that's not
But why aren't we having this discussion, about... I don't know, a right winger and Alex Telles? They play 2 different positions. Declan Rice is playing should be playing a different position to where we should be playing Scott McTominay. So I don't see where. And look, what we discussed a couple of days ago in terms of this battle between the two. But really, we shouldn't, because they're 2 different players.
Declan Rice and Scott McTominay, you can compare them. Yes, they are different players, but they're both deployed in the 6 and in the 8. I'd actually argue Declan Rice is a better 8 than a 6. That's where he's been playing for West Ham this season. But if you're asking which one of those players, if you said of both of those players, I want you to sit in the 6, I think Declan Rice gives you a better performance. Now, if you say I want you to sit in the 8, I still think you say Declan Rice gives you the better performance over the season. I know McTominay's put in some positive games over the last few weeks. But look, I just think he's a step above. In saying that, I wouldn't be paying 100 million for him. And that's why if I'm Manchester United hierarchy, I wouldn't be looking at that. I think what you could do with 100 million pounds is you could get 2, arguably 3 midfielders and complement our midfield.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, that is enough Declan Rice and enough West Ham talk. We will move on to Man United. And we usually start the podcast with team selection, but here we are 10 minutes in. We'll go to a bit of team selection now. And the only bit of news was the captain, obviously coming back into the team. Unfortunately, for sort of weird circumstances, obviously Victor Lindelof had the unfortunate news, which I'm sure everyone read. And look, at the end of the day, I think it's the right decision for Victor Lindelof to stay at home for as long as he wants. If he wants another couple of weeks or whatever it takes, that's his decision. I'm sure the club have to do the right thing by him. Horrible news what him and his wife and kid had to go through. So fingers crossed all is okay there and he's sort of all on the mend. But Harry Maguire did have to come back in. I'm sure everyone was extremely nervous on how that was going to go, especially in terms of West Ham. I don't rate Antonio. He's a right-back playing striker. I know he scored some goals this season. I just don't rate him. But a lot of people do rate him. They thought he would sort of really challenge Harry Maguire. We're not going to get into 3-2-1s yet, Larry. And I said this on Twitter. I'm going to say this quietly. Harry Maguire was our best player.
Wasn't quiet enough, Tommy. If you're going to be quiet, Maguire was good today.
I didn't want to get abused on Twitter.
He was good. He was good. And look, I've criticized him. I've gone harder, much harder than you have. But I will also admit when he plays well, and that was his best performance of the season. Undoubtedly, he was really good. He just looked composed, and that's what you want from Maguire. And I really like the fact that we played a high line, and he had the ability to read the game well. His tackle on Bowen in his box was crucial. If he doesn't make that tackle, Bowen gets a shot on target or he scores. As simple as that. Crucial save. There was also a tackle on an Antonio not much long after that. So an assured performance from the captain. I like what he did on the ball as well. Like to see him move the ball a little bit quicker. Still think he dwells on it a little bit. But in saying that, I thought he was really good. I hope he can continue to improve. And you know what? If you like you mentioned about Lindelof, it's neck and neck between them. I know Lindelof's been better this season, but if Maguire puts in a performance like that, it's hard to drop him, isn't it? So might come at a very unfortunate time in an unfortunate circumstance for Lindelof. But on today's performance, you'd probably be starting Maguire against Middlesbrough.
Well, I'm just going to ask you that question here, George, saying, does Maguire feeling like he has to earn his place back from in the team, raise his level of performance? And I think that's the case for everyone, but Harry Maguire's never been in that position. But look, I'm going to treat the FA Cup very seriously this year. I know Middlesbrough's a championship team. I think they're in the championship, I assume. I'm treating that competition very seriously. Okay, it's going to be 2 weeks until we play that game, but United go full strength against Middlesbrough. Is Harry Maguire the centre-back or Victor Lindelof?
Depends if he's going to rotate or how he's treating the FA Cup. I'm assuming your question is asking, does Ralph Rangnick go with a full-strength side? Now, if he is, I think he goes Harry Maguire. Look, I thought Lindelof's been not bad, but him and Varane have been shaky. You can't forget that first half against Brentford. We could have easily conceded 3 goals, if I'm being honest. Aston Villa, the same thing. And those 2 players were on the pitch when we capitulate a 2-0 lead. So you have to look at today's performance and say Raphael Varane and Harry Maguire complemented each other. So, yeah, I think if you're going full strength, Harry Maguire and Raphael Varane are your starting centre-backs.
Tell you what I was most impressed with, not most impressed with, but I think maybe not talked about enough, and it was both Raphael Varane and Harry Maguire both found themselves in this position where they both took hard knocks, where they both went down injured and sort of struggled to get to their feet, and the camera sort of panned to the bench and Phil Jones was warming up. And when we're looking at chasing the game and what attacking players we can bring on the field, I was thinking, okay, if one of the defenders have to come off, what can you do? You have to take the defender off and you have to put Phil Jones on, but that takes away from a potential substitution. So I was thinking this is not going to help us having to waste a substitution and sort of being able to not to bring on a Cavani or a Rashford, etc. But what they did, now I'm sure that, whether this was going through their mind or not, and they're thinking about the substitutions and the attacking threats on the bench. But at the end of the day, they got on with it. They could have easily said, no, I'm feeling I'm going to come off and have a sit on the bench for the last 20 minutes and not make it worse. But they fought through it. They're in a tough battle against players that look, I don't rate him, but against Antonio, he does make it physical. Souček obviously was getting forward, making it physical. So it was a sort of physical game for them. It was quite tricky. They could have easily not thrown in the towels and given up. But both situations when they went down, it wouldn't have shocked you if they went off, but they got through it and sort of continued a solid performance and ultimately got a clean sheet, which is a very rare thing for United these days.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really happy Varane stayed on. I think, we all feared the worst. He's had a horrible injury record, and I'm really pleased he stayed on. And I thought Varane had a good performance today. Maybe doesn't stand out as much as Maguire does, but I think I really believe he is the leader in that defense. I think he's the one who's communicating. I think he keeps everyone composed, and I like the way both played today. Shout out to both of them. And it was, like you said, we kept a clean sheet. That's worth celebrating, if not the 3 points.
Well, Ryan here saying we should be celebrating a clean sheet more. That's a huge achievement in itself for us at the moment. All the defense was solid today. Yeah, and I thought I scrolled through Twitter. I tried to stay off it a little bit today. Alex Tellez and Dalot both got praise and both got criticism. I think on a whole, I thought actually quite good. Yeah, there were shaky moments, but on the whole, I thought, in terms of our not best performance of the season, but some people would say that I think it was off the back of sort of that foundation they both laid, both in attack but also defence. I thought they did quite well. Rob saying here, can we put the offside call for the goal to bed? So glad they changed it. Yeah, look, we'll get into the offside goal. Actually, we'll go on offside, not the offside goal. It was obviously an onside goal, Larry. But before we get into the goal and how it came about, and obviously we haven't talked about Anthony Martial, I just want to talk, in the last couple of weeks, there's always been these rumours about this split dressing room and sort of cliques and like this group and the English group and the Spanish-speaking group and all these sort of rivalries within the dressing room. When that goal went in, did you see any fractures in the dressing room?
All I know is Anthony's a dancer. Wait, no, Rhythm is a dancer. God, there you go. Long day.
Was Alanga even on the pitch?
Look, I just want to sing that chant. It's I saw Josh's comment and he's put the song back in my head. So, look, can we just have one round of that chant? And I'm happy to continue the video after that.
Well, if you get the lyrics right, you can practice and make sure you get the right lyrics.
Right.
But on that,
is a dancer. Great song, by the way.
Yeah, not bad. Hopefully, well, if he continues to play, the song will be sort of maybe renditioned a little bit more around Old Trafford. But in regards to that celebration, like everyone's, I'm sure, watched that sort of video that's floating around Twitter and Facebook about 600 times today, and there's no fractures in that dressing room. Like you did see United pulling in the one direction there.
Yeah, 100%. And look, it's always going to be a semi-unhappy dressing room when you're not getting the results, right? I think that's perfectly normal. You want to win, and that's what you expect. These are professional footballers. They're paid well to win, and when you play for Manchester United, everything you do is scrutinized. So when you're winning, yeah, I thought that celebration, by the way, it had everything. I absolutely loved it. I've watched the replay. I think it was a video Manchester United put out on Twitter. I can't tell you how many times I've watched it, Tom. You've got Cavani celebrating like he scored the goal. You've got Rashford. You've got Scott McTominay, who's going to jump in and fall into the ground. Bruno's yelling over him. Bruno's fist pumping. Cavani's going nuts. Tellez is having a one-on-one boxing bout with the flag. It just had everything. I absolutely loved it. And like you said, it was United. Excuse the pun. It was just, yeah.
It did have everything, Larry, but almost had nothing because Jamie is saying I didn't celebrate when it went in. Initially looked offside. The only replay they showed during the game, they only kept on that where they still the image when the ball sort of leaves Martial's foot. They only sort of paused it for like half a second and then continued on. That's all they showed. And that first instant you thought offside because you're not looking at the grass cuttings. I think you're just looking at the ball and the player. And it looked 3 yards offside. In my opinion, I'm thinking, oh my God, they're going to go back. They're going to disallow it. Then ultimately, when you do come back and the camera does sort of swing around and you see he's actually just onside.
How sad is that with VAR though? I think it's just we all pause a little bit. Yeah, you don't get that euphoria. To answer Adam's question, yes, Ronaldo did celebrate. There's a separate shot of him doing this one. Yeah, Ronaldo doesn't. I've noticed this when Ronaldo's going. When after the team score, Ronaldo sort of is like, he looks to get his head in the huddle. But he doesn't really say much. I think he notices the camera's on him and he's like, all right, better get my head in. Look like I'm enjoying it. he's the one player.
But he's weird because he's over there. He celebrates all the goals with all the players. But people do have this question, well, is he celebrating enough with the players? I'm thinking, well, he's over there celebrating with the players. Let him be. Like he played a crucial part in the goal. What did you think of the goal? Because obviously Tellez plays the ball forward. It does creep over to Ronaldo. Ronaldo sort of does well, sort of break free a little bit and plays through Anthony Martial, which we'll get into in a sec. Martial plays through Cavani, and that position would have been in earlier in the game. A lot of players would have taken a shot, and Cavani sort of had the composure to square it. And ultimately, huge game or huge moment for Rashford. Now, ultimately, when Marcus Rashford came on, I thought it was the wrong substitution, and his performance on the field, I didn't really see much in a Marcus Rashford performance. Ultimately, though, it doesn't matter anything because he obviously comes up big with the goal. So just your thoughts on the actual goal itself besides the drama.
I loved it. My criticism with United's attack at the moment, while I think we're keeping the ball better, the front three are playing very selfishly. I cannot recall during the entire game up until the final goal where the front three passed to each other. We started with Alenga, Ronaldo, and Greenwood. Those three players are not on the same wavelength. They don't link up enough. I think Alenga's following instruction, and I think he's defensively definitely assured things up on the left, but they're not linking up. Mason Greenwood, he needs dropping, Tom. He's just, like I said to you, he's a good player, but he looks like a striker playing on the right wing. And
we could have scored 4 or 5 goals if Mason Greenwood just got his head. And look, I love Mason Greenwood, but that is the word. Unfortunately, we look at Marcus Rashford and say he hasn't been working for the team in terms of his work rate. We're looking at Mason Greenwood. It's almost like that kid in the under-12s who's just almost should just call a hog and just that literally doesn't pass the ball when someone's in a better position. And Ralph Rangnick has publicly spoken about just that basic thing which you do talk about to 12-year-olds, saying if someone's in a better position than you, pass to him. And so many times Ronaldo is standing there in such a good position, or Ronaldo has made space and Bruno Fernandes is on the edge of the box, and Mason Greenwood just says, no, I'm taking this. And you just think, geez, that's something a young player needs to cut out very quickly their game.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Look, I like Mason. I think he'll be an absolute baller of a player. But in saying that, I think he needs dropping. And I think once Sancho's back in with the squad, I think United's strongest lineup, should Rashford find his form, I think you'll see Ronaldo on the left, Sancho on the right, Ronaldo through the middle.
I think I saw Diogo Dalot so many times make a great overlapping run, and Mason Greenwood maybe sometimes was the right to not ignore it, but choose a different option. But sometimes the ball was on for Diogo Dalot, but Mason Greenwood's trying to work in a position where he can get a shot away. And look, he does have the ability to score a fantastic goal, but those goals happen once every 3 or 4 weeks, not once every time you get the ball. He does need, but look, that'll come with experience. That'll come with a player like Ronaldo and a player like Cavani around in the training ground, pointing these things out. And maybe it's just a phase because he does have that pass in his locker. It's just not sticking for him at the moment. But look, at the end of the day, we're winning, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, Adam doesn't have. I see him here. He's not happy with any criticism of Mason Greenwood.
Not blaming
Ronaldo and Greenwood are on different levels for Adam at the moment. Not the biggest fan of Ronaldo, and but look, I'm just happy they won. That we'll turn players against each other. I think Ronaldo and Greenwood are doing well this season. And the criticism, I think, is a little bit over the top. But Mason Greenwood needs to get his head up and pass the ball because he does have that ability. But, yeah. And another day, I don't want to go too harsh on Mason Greenwood at the moment because I do like him. But I don't want to upset Adam too much because I know Mason Greenwood is the gunman to him. But anything else before we move on? Anthony Martial, before we get into 3-2-1s, the substitution for Anthony Martial coming on. I just want to talk from almost Ralph Rangnick's point of view. Brave move because it was the right decision from a football point of view. I was actually thinking instead of Rashford, I'll hold my hands up. Everyone knows the name I'm going to say. I thought it was a game for Juan Mata to maybe come on. I thought in terms of the problems West Ham were dealing, I thought maybe Juan Mata compared to someone with pace in behind would have been more beneficial. But ultimately, the other right substitution was Anthony Martial. In an ideal world, I think Jadon Sancho would have been that man. And if Jadon Sancho was on the bench, probably would have got the nod over Anthony Martial. But it was Martial, and from a football point of view, it was the right thing to do. Big thing for Ralph Rangnick to do, though, because he has openly said that Anthony Martial didn't want to play for Manchester United. He's publicly said that he wants to leave the club. Big decision to put him on, but ultimately I don't know if Martial changed the game, but he obviously had the telling impact.
Yeah, he did. Another one where, like Harry Maguire, best performance of the season. 10-minute cameo. He impacts the result. You can't deny that. It's a weird one, and I don't know what's going to happen. I'm wondering, does this mean he doesn't leave in January? Otherwise, I couldn't see any reason to play him. Yes, you can say, well, there's a game of football. He's a professional footballer. He should be available to be selected. But it's a weird change from a week ago, isn't it? So, Look, I'm open to him being picked. And if he gets his head down and he puts in performances like he did today, let him play some more.
Shows how fickle we are. Here we are a week ago saying you shouldn't play for Manchester United again. We've done the same with Paul Pogba, and now suddenly something changes and we're turning. Okay, he's not going to be the saviour, but a week's a long time in football. I was putting him in the Alexis Sanchez and Di Maria category a couple of days ago, and he was saying, look, he's got a future to play.
Look, I think Rangnick addressed it. He addressed it in the Brentford pre-match presser. He said, I've spoken with Anthony about it. It was clearly some sort of miscommunication. I don't think Anthony's an angel by any means. He clearly chose not to play. But look, we'll just have to take their word for it. Some sort of level of miscommunication. He's now made himself available. He comes on today. He puts in 100%. That's really all you can ask.
Yeah, no. Well, we'll get into 3-2-1s. We're just saying here, Adam still on the Ronaldo train, but okay for Ronaldo to kick the ball into the wall every time. Look, I've been criticising Ronaldo for 12 years for his free kicks. So that's nothing new. Definitely not. I don't know why he does take free kicks.
Awful free kick taker.
It was like a penalty. When he was at United the first time, it was like a penalty. Giving him a free kick, it was a goal. It was like James Ward-Prowse. And since he went to Real Madrid, it was one part of his game that did go down. But we will move on to 3-2-1s, Larry. Interesting one here. I'm just going to throw the first name out, which I started the podcast with, or the topic. It has to be Harry Maguire for me. The goal scorer, okay, Marcus Rashford, big goal, but it's one moment at the end of the game. David De Gea simply had nothing to do. Any of the midfielders, I thought both midfielders were fine, but ultimately didn't do enough to sort of be man of the match. Wide players, but sort of both got hooked. I didn't see anything special from there. For me, clean sheet. And given the context of how bad he has been, he is at rock bottom, so what his confidence would have been like to come back and give that performance in a must-win situation, I have to give man of the match to Harry Maguire.
Harry Maguire. Think I'm gonna agree with you. I thought he was really good. And look, I always call out when a player. I always say when you look at the 90 minutes, normally it's David De Gea who's saving United. Now he didn't have to make a lot of clutch saves, but he definitely had to make one. Like I said, that early save on Bowen in his own box, not much room for error there. He has to get that right, or it's a penalty, or it's a shot on goal. He played well, distributed well. That's what you want from him. 3 points, I think, is the fair result.
Yeah, no, definitely for me. And look, it's an interesting one. Look, is this an international break next week, or is it a winter break? I've no idea what it is, but you just know players are going to come back with COVID. So it'll be very interesting to see how the team does line up next week.
I don't even think the European teams are playing.
Yeah, I've no idea why there's a break. I'm sure someone in the comments let us know whether it's just that extended winter break that was supposed to come into the game a couple of years ago, but no idea. But players are going to come back, and it'll be interesting to see that Lindelof and Maguire situation. Because Maguire, like we said with Phil Jones the other day, when Phil Jones came in, we said on football merit, he should be starting the next game. Now, Harry Maguire on football merit, he didn't do enough to get dropped. He should be starting the next game. But there will be interesting if one player comes back with COVID or Varane picks up an injury. It will be interesting. But, yeah, I think clear for Harry Maguire, a lot of people do have him in around their 3 points as well in the live chat. For 2 points, other than that, though, take your pick of 1 point and 2 points. I'm going to throw a name out there. Look, I think Marcus Rashford has to go into the discussion just for the moment, just for the goal. I think he definitely does have to go in there, maybe for 1 point. The other names that I'm sure you're going to throw in there as well, you do have to look at the impact Martial did have. And my opposition to the Martial being included in that would be I could do the same thing for Cavani. They both played such a pivotal role in the goal, and I just don't know how to split it. Who would I choose? So I'm going Rashford. Who would I split between Martial and Cavani? So the only other name I'll throw in there besides Rashford, Larry, and criticise me and let me know. I've seen his name pop up in the chat, but in my opinion, for 2 points, Larry, I'll be going Diogo Dalot. I think what he allows us to do on the ball, I think that is why so many performances are a lot more in control, because we get the ball, whether that be out of the back or we get the ball in midfield, and we look to the right-hand side, and we're just able to play it out there. We're just able to play it out there and know the ball's going to stick. When it's Aaron Wan-Bissaka, we think, oh, hang on. Oh, no, I won't play that ball because it's Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think so much of our sort of increased control in recent weeks is the inclusion of Diogo Dalot. Now, his sort of final ball could be a little bit better. That's obviously a strength of his, so that's no real concern for me. I just think maybe he's in a bad patch. But ultimately, I think he is performing quite well. And ultimately, and he's one player which I said – when Ralph Rangnick came in, I said Scott McTominay was going to be the first name on the team sheet because of the attributes he has on and off the pitch for Ralph Rangnick. And ultimately, the other player who has taken his chance is Diogo Dalot. So I have to give him a heap of credit for, because has any other player really taken their chance under Ralph Rangnick? But some players have performed okay. Some players have performed quite sort of subpar. But Diogo Dalot has come in and taken his chance, and I have to give him full credit for it.
Quite the statement. Look, I think he has taken his opportunity. I'd stop short of giving him points, though. And the reason I say that for your argument is you're praising what he adds to the team, but that's what I would expect from any Premier League level fullback, if I'm being honest. Are we praising Diogo Dalot for being brilliant, or are we praising him for being an upgrade on Wan-Bissaka, who's poor? That's what we need.
No, there is that, but in terms of being good, who was better than him today in regards to the performance?
I thought Bruno was really good.
Bruno was decent. I thought Bruno. I don't think. Look, it's not to criticise him. He's far better in recent weeks than he was. And again, we put that down to players around him not being as good or being as good. It's sort of hard to judge. I don't think Bruno had the impact that he did have, obviously against Aston Villa and Brentford. But we'll just go to the chat because there are a few in the live chat here in regards to 3-2-1s. Matt saying Slabhead, Dalot as well, Rafael Varane. Jamie's gone Maguire, Dalot and Rashford. Adam gone Maguire, McTominay, Rashford. Josh gone Slabhead for 3, Varane for 2, and the net Gary Neville for 1. That's gone over my head, Josh. Maybe that's gone way over my head. You need to explain that one to me. Maybe it's obvious, but no, that's absolutely done me. Rob saying Harry, Dalot, and Rashford for the goal. So, and Ryan here saying Dalot as well for 2 points and Varane for 1. So, do you want to reconsider that? A lot of people are picking Dalot.
I didn't think he was bad. Defensively, I thought he was solid. I just think I take your point on what he's saying. I think his delivery his delivery generally can be good, but I think today it was poor. I saw Adam's comment around Telles and Dalot being similar players. I have to agree with that 100%. I think they both offer the same sort of cross. Like if you think of a David Beckham cross, Beckham came from deep, crosses in. And I just thought against West Ham as well, very strange thing to deploy. It's a big team. So I didn't understand the point with the early cross there.
Yeah, but you got the best header of ball in world football in that box as well. You know, if that delivery is better, look at the one time Bruno did get the ball in between the back four and the goalkeeper. Ronaldo actually probably should do a little bit better with his header. I think, yes, even if a team does have a strength at the back in terms of winning headers, they're not going to be as strong as Ronaldo winning headers type thing. So it is interesting. But look, a lot of people are saying
back into this team. You know, I think United's strongest side has Luke Shaw in it. I know there's the whole thing around, you know, maybe Ralf Rangnick doesn't really favour him, but I think just for that exact point, because Telles and Dalot are so similar in what they offer, I think Shaw, someone who will actually drive into the box a little bit more and do that cross back from the byline, just to offer us something a bit different in terms of throwing threats at the defense.
I said this point to you, and let me know if this makes sort of absolutely no sense. And in the live chat, if this makes no sense at all, please let me know. But Larry, just get your thoughts. I think Luke Shaw plays better than Alex Telles. When Luke Shaw gets the ball, we see something better. I think the team plays better with Alex Telles. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. But I think with the side now finding a system that works, I want to see Luke Shaw in that system. Look, he has to be more disciplined defensively, but I think Telles has weaknesses defensively too. He's not a clear and obvious head start on Luke Shaw. When, like, you look at Dalot, you can see what he offers compared to what Wan-Bissaka offers. When I look at Telles, I don't see any improvement on what Luke Shaw offers. So that's why I'm like, look, I take your point, and he's in the build-up to the goal. So what the hell am I talking about? But I think Luke Shaw deserves an opportunity to come back into this side, because our best football last season came with Luke Shaw coming from left back. So he has to be afforded that opportunity. In terms of the 3-2-1s, look, maybe it's a bit of my bias. I personally would want to throw Martial in there for 1 point. I know Rashford gets the goal, but I think if that was Martial, Ronaldo, Cavani, I think if anyone's there, they score that tap in. I think if someone missed that tap in, we'd be blowing up Deluxe. In terms of his actual game, I didn't think Rashford did anything of note. I think Martial actually contributed in terms of how he impacted when he came on. It just his feet. There was one opportunity in the box. I know he lost his feet at the end, but his turn in their box. If he just someone who didn't play that often, I think a sharp Martial probably gets a shot away there. Maybe he doesn't get 3-2-1. I just thought he was quite good. I just thought Martial was.
Well, I'll just go back to some of the comments in regards to 3-2-1s, but I'll be going. There were a lot of people who had Dalot for 2 and Maguire for 3, so I'll just throw some of the other names there. You've obviously got Martial, which I agree with the impact, but ultimately last minute winner, Stretford, and the way we value these 3-2-1s, it's hard for me to look past Rashford. So I'll just throw some names there. No one has included Martial in them, but there are one or two that have thrown up Marcus Rashford for 1 point. So would you be happy to sort of cave to Dr. Rashford, considering the couple of weeks he has been sort of dealt with?
Yes, let's cave to Dr. Rashford. Can I say, Emad, absolutely. He's not having me lately. Look at this. Look at this comment here.
Where is he?
Right
Larry
here.
Logic. Something working. Let's
Luke Shaw was literally our best outfield player last season.
Yeah, well, we need Adam and Emad together at the pub to have a discussion about Mason Greenwood, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Ronaldo, McTominay, and Greenwood. Well, that'll be an interesting debate. But anything else, Man United and West Ham, in regards to the game that I've missed? Because obviously there are 3-2-1s. We've discussed the goal. We've discussed the performance of Harry Maguire coming back in. Obviously, huge points. Now, I saw the table. Tottenham have another 17 games in hand on us, so they'll go ahead of us next time they kick a ball. But it is obviously an important game. We have gone in the fourth spot. But anything else on the game that I have missed?
United are back in the top 4. Let's just enjoy
That's what I just said.
Yeah, let's just enjoy that.
But for how long? Because do we have a game? I think we still have a game on West Ham, so we can extend the lead on West Ham. I think ultimately West Ham are going to fade away. There's Arsenal there. I think Arsenal might have a game in hand on us now where they can technically move ahead of us. So I think we potentially still drop back down to 6 if they do win the games in hand, because obviously the points on the board are more important. But
let me throw one at you, Tom. If we win Chelsea have a game. They've played a game more than us. If we win our game in hand, we're only 3 points behind Chelsea in 3rd place. You look at
that's what I'm looking at the game today, Tottenham-Chelsea. How are you looking at that? Are you just thinking standard, just draw, or are you starting to look, okay, we need to sort of get away at Tottenham, or can you start to look at Chelsea slipping?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. Well, Chelsea aren't playing well at the moment. They're struggling. And I've got to be honest, it started with Michael Carrick and Jadon Sancho sort of ruining things there. Lukaku, their most expensive ever signing, wants to go to Inter. I don't know. I don't think Chelsea are a happy camp. They're not playing good football. And I think if you're looking at a team that could fade away, it is Chelsea. There's something, you mentioned it a few weeks ago, Tuchel getting sacked. I'm telling you.
Everyone looks at me and says, "Oh, I don't know about that. That's a bit over the top."
It's not. Look at how they're playing.
It's not even a talking point. Chelsea have sacked managers for winning the league and cup double type thing, and sacked them a couple of months later. I do not care that Thomas Tuchel has won the Champions League. If they don't win a trophy, he will get sacked. I don't understand that. Oh, no, even Chelsea wouldn't do that. No, the fact is they will. They will sack him Monday morning when they don't win a trophy. That's not up for debate. I don't understand where this, oh, no, he's won the Champions League, they'll stick with him. They won't. They simply will not.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Look, if I'm a betting man now, I'm going a bit more heart than head here. I think United finish 4th. I think 3rd's between Chelsea and Tottenham. Just depends who falls away. I think Arsenal, I look at their squad, I don't think they have it in them. I just think you look at the quality of players we have, the fact that we're finally seeing a level of performance, I'm expecting United to get more points. The other thing is, I think we can beat Chelsea in the return fixture at Old Trafford. And I think if we can do that, I think that we go a long way into getting top 4. I've seen United fans saying top 4 is gone. It's nowhere near gone. We're well in the battle, and I definitely think we can. I think
what were we 14 points or 11 points when Solskjaer came in, and it's obviously different scenarios, different circumstances. But what are we like? We're in the top 4, and suddenly top 4 is out of reach. But when Solskjaer took over at this stage, we're 11 points off top 4 and ended up sort of getting into the top 4. I think we ended up blowing it on the last couple of days, but we sort of regrouped that sort of points difference. So yeah, no issue with the top 4. Now, ultimately, we could sort of have a bad patch of form and sort of slip out of the top 4. But in regards to a points difference and making up ground, if you're looking at top 4 and think it's unassailable now that we can't do it, just you have not watched football. It's simply 6 points can be done within a week. It's a non-issue for me. The issue is being consistent and United performing. That's all we need to do. If we do that, the points will take care of themselves. But it is interesting. Obviously, Tottenham do play Chelsea. I would like a draw, but ultimately, you do look at Chelsea sort of start to slip. Maybe that is more beneficial than worrying about what Tottenham are going to do, because Tottenham do obviously have the games, and Chelsea obviously are competing on all fronts. They're still in the Champions League. So just last question from Adam before we do wrap up. There are a lot of comments flying in regards to Tottenham, but just another tree update, Larry.
Yeah, the tree's looking as good as Mason Greenwood's looking in United's 11 at the moment.
That's actually not bad. I was thinking of something to say to that, but that's actually not bad. Hopefully that discussion can continue at the pub next time we meet. Obviously, next game the Man United Supporters Club might meet is 7 a.m. The Middlesbrough game is a Saturday morning FA Cup game. So if you are in Sydney and not a member of the Supporters Club, find a link in the description below to sign up, and I'm sure we'll find somewhere to watch 7 a.m. Middlesbrough in the FA Cup, obviously always a good one to get down and watch a bit of knockout football. But Larry, any other talking points before we do wrap up? I just saw Josh here saying new variant of COVID announced like a new January transfer window. Expecting anything the last couple of days? What do we got, a week left? I think it's done. Look, obviously there'll be a mad rush on the last day, and there'll be names flying about. I think in terms of the situation we find ourselves in now, the murmurs coming out for Ralph Rangnick, we're not signing anyone. Maybe there's a Jesse Lingard on loan to Newcastle. Other than that, I don't think anything's happening.
Yeah, I think that's the one. I don't think Martial leaves now. I mean, it's only Sevilla. There's some talk that from Spain, Sevilla is going to come back in for Martial, but I can't see them paying his wages. And look, United are rightfully asking for a good loan fee and his salary to be covered. That's the right way. If a player wants to either get paid the good money he earns at United, or you take a cut if you want to go there, if he wants to get that deal over the line.
Lingard to Newcastle. I'll throw this one. Lingard to Newcastle on loan. Do you do that as United?
I think so.
I don't. I sell it, and the United won't sell, or Jesse Lingard won't accept a transfer there because there's a good chance they'll be in the Championship. So Jesse Lingard will only go to Newcastle on loan. But I don't see what the benefit is to lose a player, because if we get hit by injuries or hit by COVID and suddenly one of our attacking midfielders is on loan at Newcastle, I don't see how that benefits us. If he's going to come back in the end of the season, okay, he goes on loan, then he comes back. But because he's out of contract and he's going to leave, I don't see what a loan away from the club now benefits United for.
I take your point, but you have to put the player's perspective here. He's got a World Cup that he's probably keeping an eye on. He should be playing football. He's nearly 29 years of age. He needs to be playing football. And I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. The other side is Newcastle are offering him a whole lot of dosh, mate. And he has every right to want to earn that dosh. And like I said, he has every right to want to play football. So I don't think it's in United's interest, since we're clearly not using him. Let him go out there and play some football.
No, definitely. But we do appreciate everyone in the live chat. It's been definitely a lively live chat, but we do appreciate it. He's all kept sensible and in good spirits. Obviously good mates of ours, and we all know it is obviously a little bit of banter back and forth. But Adam here saying in regards to our jerseys, nice jerseys. Yeah, remind me, Adam, I'll send you a photo. There's a photo of Mason Greenwood in this shirt. I'm sure you'll like that one. But Rob here, good show, lads, and Emad as well. Great show, boys. Love you, Larry. Until then, Larry, when are we back on air? Because obviously no football. It is a Sunday. Maybe we'll be back on maybe Tuesday or Wednesday to discuss a little bit, unless there's a bit of breaking news, and we'll obviously go live. But I'm sure we'll find something to chat about in a couple of days.
For sure. As much as I love this jersey, I've got Lukaku on the back of it. Yeah. Sad
Lukaku. I don't know what to make of Lukaku. Does he leave Chelsea if they sack the manager? Because does a new manager come in and want Romelu Lukaku? Because if I walk into Chelsea as manager, as bad as Timo Werner is, Timo Werner's the man for me over Lukaku at the moment. So what's the latest on him?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't rate him at all. I can't believe they paid £100 million for him. That's the crazy part.
What's the worst bit of business? 100 million on Lukaku or 80 million on Aaron Maguire?
Maguire's been good. He hasn't been Van Dijk, but he's been good. You look at his period at United, he's been good.
Watch Romelu Lukaku go on a goal scoring spree now. Watch Lukaku go on a goal scoring spree. Fingers crossed he doesn't. And look, all this talk about top four and sort of Premier League title races and everything, we're going to beat Atletico Madrid, and we're starting to book the tickets to Russia. We're starting to look at dates and hotels and where we can scalp tickets to go to Russia for the Champions League final. But that is where my focus is, Larry, not on this top four race. We can finish sixth. Ronaldo will fire us to Champions League glory. So we don't have to worry. We'll get the automatic qualification that way. But hopefully everyone did enjoy the video. If you could please like the video, that would be fantastic. If you are new, click subscribe. Takes 1 second on your phone. Make me and Larry both very happy. And until then, chat to you in a couple of days. Always a pleasure, Larry.
Pleasure,
Cheers, mate.